Georgia home prices dropped 2.5% in 2025, the first statewide decline the market has seen in years. 62% of homes sold included seller concessions. 41% of listings had price reductions since January. That is not a hot market. That is a market in the middle of a reset that most people living inside it have not fully accepted yet. For 3 years, Georgia was the answer. When New York got too expensive and California got too unstable, people pointed at Atlanta, Savannah, and the suburbs spreading out from both and said, that is where the smart move is. And for a while, they were right. Georgia's economy is real, the job growth is real, the population migration is real. But something happened between the arrival of the hype and the arrival of the data. According to Georgia MLS data published in early 2026, home prices statewide dropped 2.5% in 2025. 62% of homes sold included seller concessions, averaging around $4,000 per sale. 41% of listings had price reductions. In Atlanta, the forecast for the year ending June 2026 is a decrease of 1.3%. Savannah homes are sitting 143 days on market. Only 3 Savannah houses sold in December 2025. This is not a crash. Georgia is not Arizona or Florida, but 10 cities are showing the specific pressure points where the 2022 assumptions have collided with the 2026 reality. And in each one, buyers now hold leverage they have not had in years. Number 10, Valdosta. Valdosta sits near the Florida border anchored by Moody Air Force Base, which usually means stability. But military towns have a structural vulnerability that showed up hard in 2026. When rates rise, soldiers stop buying. Redfin data shows active inventory up 32% year over year. Median days on market ballooned to 45 days. Zillow reports 35% of active listings have had price reductions. The median home price has slid from a peak of roughly $310,000 to around $275,000. The U.S. Census Bureau confirms population growth has stalled, with local wages averaging around $45,000 a year and mortgage rates still near 7%. The affordability math does not close. Valdosta has real fundamentals. It just has a market price for conditions that no longer exist. Number 9, Warner Robins. Warner Robins was a quiet military town anchored by Robins Air Force Base. Then developers decided it was the next growth corridor and flooded it with new construction. U.S. Census Bureau data shows local builders pulled permits at a rate 22% above historical averages, right at the tail end of the boom. The phantom buyers never showed up. John Burns' real estate consulting data shows new home contract cancellations in this region spiked to 25%. Buyers walking away from their earnest money because a 7% mortgage on an overpriced new build simply does not pencil out on a $55,000 median household income. Adam Data Solutions reports foreclosure starts up 18% over the past 2 quarters. Rent growth has gone negative, down roughly 3% year over year. When you build for momentum instead of fundamentals, the correction arrives with interest. Number 8, Athens. Athens has the University of Georgia and a reliable rental base. On paper, it should be resilient. But the pandemic turned Athens into an institutional investor playground, and that playbook has backfired. CoreLogic data shows institutional and corporate investors snapped up roughly 22% of all single-family homes sold here during the peak frenzy. CoStar Group data shows developers simultaneously flooded the market with luxury student apartments, increasing multifamily inventory by 15%. The result? Mom-and-pop landlords who paid peak prices for houses cannot find tenants willing to pay peak rents. Realtor.com reports nearly 42% of active listings in the county have experienced a price cut in the last 30 days. The median list price has dropped from around $460,000 to approximately $395,000. Athens has a strong foundation. The investor speculation layered on top of it does not. Number 7, Augusta. Augusta built a secondary real estate economy on 1 week per year. Masters Tournament Week, when short-term rental rates hit $600 a night. AirDNA data shows revenue per available room for vacation listings here has dropped 32% over the last year. The tourists are still coming. They are just not paying 2022 rates. Zillow data shows housing inventory up 41% year over year. Redfin reports median time on market stretching to 52 days. The local board of realtors reports median home sale prices down 11% year over year. 1 week per year is not a business model. Augusta is learning that the hard way. Number 6. Macon. Macon attracted out-of-state investors during the pandemic, who saw rock-bottom prices and assumed they could flip century-old homes into profitable short-term rentals. Adam Data Solutions shows the volume of home flipping in this county crashed 43% over the past year. The U.S. Census Bureau reports Macon's poverty rate hovers around 26%. You cannot manufacture a luxury rental market in an area where 1 in 4 people is struggling with basic expenses. Black Knight Mortgage Analytics shows early-stage delinquencies spiked to 6.5%. The residential vacancy rate is pushing past 11%. The median home price has been slashed 14% from its pandemic peak. Macon's problem was never its fundamentals. It was the money that arrived with no intention of staying. Number 5. Savannah. Savannah is one of the most beautiful cities in America with real economic tailwinds. The port of Savannah is expanding. Hyundai's Metaplant is coming online nearby. But Florida Atlantic University research indicates the market is overvalued by approximately 38% based on historical pricing trends relative to local incomes. Homes are sitting 143 days on market. Only 3 houses sold in Savannah in December 2025. The sale-to-list ratio has dropped 3.51% year over year. Insurance premiums in this coastal zone have risen 35% in 2 years. Mortgage Bankers Association data shows loan applications for second homes here dropped over 52%. Savannah's long-term story is strong. The 2022 price layer on top of it is the problem. Number 4. Alpharetta. Alpharetta branded itself the technology hub of the South. That bet worked until companies started calling remote workers back to California offices. Bureau of Labor Statistics data shows significant cooling in the technology sector, with layoffs directly impacting the demographic that drove this boom. Redfin data shows luxury home sales in this market cratered 34% year over year. Median days on market for homes above $700,000 doubled, from 20 days to over 45. Zillow data shows 38% of listings in high-income zip codes have cut asking prices by $30,000 or more. Alpharetta is still a strong market by Georgia standards. But the 2022 premium paid for proximity to the tech corridor has evaporated along with the remote work era that justified it. Number 3. Gainesville. Gainesville sold a specific dream. Lakefront living on Lake Lanier with remote work freedom. When companies mandated office returns, that dream developed a 90-minute commute attached to it. The National Association of Realtors reports the Housing Affordability Index for this area has hit a record low relative to local working-class wages. Realtor.com data shows active inventory up 55% in 12 months. Redfin reports the median sale price already down 8.5% year over year. New residential construction permits have pulled back sharply. A market built on one assumption cannot survive when that assumption is withdrawn. Number 2. Columbus. Columbus sits on the Chattahoochee River anchored by Fort Moore, formerly Fort Benning. It was heavily targeted by corporate landlords looking for affordable inventory to convert to rentals. The U.S. Census Bureau reports net outmigration from this county over the last 2 years. Zumper data shows average rent prices down 4.5% year over year. With a median per capita income around $32,000, there is a ceiling on what the rental market can bear. Corporate investors who bought above that ceiling are now below water. Local MLS data shows median home sale prices down 12% from peak. Zillow data shows 44% of active listings have had price reductions. Black Knight reports early-stage mortgage delinquencies approaching 5% in this metro. When the institutional money leaves, it takes the floor pricing with it. Number 1. Atlanta. Atlanta is where the Georgia housing story gets complicated, in a way that the 47% crash prediction does not fully capture. The institutional investor data is real, but misread. Georgia Policy Institute research published November 2025 documents that institutional investors peaked at approximately 32% of single-family purchases in some Atlanta submarkets. But the research is explicit. The buying pattern is now described as an affordability challenge, not a collapse trigger. The institutional money is not fleeing. It is repositioning. The actual 2026 data tells a more measured story. Atlanta home prices are forecast down 1.3% for the year, ending June 2026, per Norada Real Estate. Georgia MLS data shows 62% of homes sold in 2025 included seller concessions, averaging $4,000. Statewide prices dropped 2.5% in 2025. CoStar Group data shows developers delivered over 40,000 new apartment units in the metro in a single year, causing rent to drop roughly 6%. Active single-family inventory is up 62% year-over-year per Redfin. Atlanta is not in freefall. Atlanta is in a correction. The kind that happens when a market was priced for conditions that required low rates, permanent remote work, and institutional buying to continue indefinitely. None of those conditions held. But for anyone who bought in 2021 or 2022 at peak pricing, the distinction between a correction and a crash may feel academic. When the concessions, the reduced comps, and the 60-plus days on market arrive in your own transaction. 10 cities, 1 state, 1 pattern. Georgia's housing market is not broken. It has real population growth, real job creation, real long-term demand. The Port of Savannah expansion, Hyundai's Metaplant, Fort Moore's cybersecurity build-out, Atlanta's corporate base. These are structural tailwinds that do not disappear in a reset. But every city on this list was priced in 2022 for a set of conditions that no longer exist. Remote work freedom, rates near 3%, institutional demand providing a permanent floor, short-term rental income covering mortgages. Each of those assumptions has been partially or fully withdrawn. 62% of Georgia homes sold in 2025 included seller concessions. 41% of listings had price reductions. The leverage is shifting to buyers. For the first time in years, that leverage is real. If you are buying in Georgia in 2026, use it. Negotiate hard. Run insurance costs on anything coastal. Run the full carrying cost on anything in a corporate landlord-dominated neighborhood. And do not let anyone price you based on what the market looked like in 2022. If this gave you something real, subscribe to State Shift. New investigation every week. Drop a comment. Which Georgia city are you watching, and what are you actually seeing on the ground?